Welcome to parametric modeling, and in this course we're going to get into drawing in three-dimensional space, and this software that we're using is going to be Autodesk Inventor. It's great software. We're going to use the 2016 edition, but if you got 2017 or even 2015, basically there's no changes in it. Usually they do minor upgrades and revisions, but for this class, really the fundamentals is what we're going to get into, and essentially nothing has really changed. So this software is right here, the icon. Just double click it, it'll open it up. And to start out with, what you're going to do is come up here in the upper left hand corner where it says new, and just click on new. And when you do this, it'll open up this new little box here you can see. And it just depends on if you're working in metrics or if you're working in standard. And here's English and metric. So if we're going to work in the first drawing in chapter 2, we jumped ahead to chapter 2. You might want to go back and revisit chapter 1, just read through a little of that. But we're going to take off in chapter 2, and the first drawing in that tutorial is going to be in a standard English unit. So again, I'll just click that, and if you'll come over here and look, there's all kinds of different icons you can choose, and we'll get to all of them for the end of the semester. But we're looking at this one, IPT at the end. That means inventor part, okay? And this is where these are going to be your drawings. And you see IN, that stands for inches. Now if I went to metric, you see right here, IPT. Right here it is millimeter, IPT, and that's when you choose if using the metric. But we're drawing again in standard inch measurements, inch units. Standard, so I just double click it, and it'll open it up. Now when this opens up, it's going to look just like this, and this is what you're looking at now. And this software, Inventor, provides you with two different modes. One of them is sketch mode, and one of them is feature mode. Now, it automatically opened up in feature mode, as you can see right here. And feature mode is working in 3D. If you go up here and look at some of these tools, these are all three-dimensional tools. Well, in this software, first thing you have to do is draw a 2D sketch. You have to be in sketch mode first. You have to be in 2D sketch, and then you can convert that 2D sketch into a 3D model. And I'll show you how to do that. If you go over here and look, you see this Start 2D Sketch in the left-hand corner. Click on it, come down to Start 2D Sketch, and you'll see these work planes coming up. You got an XY plane, a YZ, and an XZ plane. What I want to do is click on, it doesn't matter, but I like to start out on my XY plane. That's usually standard in most drawing softwares and CAD softwares. So when I did that, I'm in sketch mode now. You all see this, and it automatically up here in my icons, it put me in sketch mode. But you'll also see a grid when you're in sketch mode, and then you'll come up with these sketch tools. They're two-dimensional tools. So what I do first is I'll find this drawing, and I'm going to do the tutorial drawing in chapter 2. And it's going to start out like this, and you can use, I'm going to use my line. And basically, what's so nice about this software is parametric modeling software like Inventor or SolidWorks, whichever one you're using. You just draw it up. And you see how I threw that on there, and I didn't put any dimensions on there. I can add those. And this is how you add those. You come here and hit dimension. I can click on this, and I can get the actual size of that, which it should be 3/4, 0.75. All I have to do is type in 0.75. Do you see that? I can now go back into dimension, click on dimension, click this line and bring it up, and it's 0.784. Change that to 0.75. You all see that? The overall height from the bottom of this to the top of this is 2.5, so I need to go up here and hit dimension, click on those two, and change that to 2.5. Now I need to change from this line to this line, and you can either click here to there, or you can actually just click on the line itself, and it is 2.5. And you see how it automatically sets itself. Now that's what's called parametric. You can just go in there, throw your design up, and then add. But now you can also, when you're drawing, you can also just type it in. You see the dynamics there that's on. I could have just went 2.5, get my line going the right direction. It's kind of like AutoCAD and the direct line method. Come up 0.75. So you can do it either way that you want to do. It's going to be totally up to you. Now, hit escape. Escape gets you out of the command. And I want to delete this. Now you can click on it individually and just hit delete. Or I can grab just down here in the corner, left clicking and making a window. Hold that left cursor button down, and then let off of it, and you chose all these. Just hit your delete button again, and they're gone. Now, you'll also notice in the screen, the viewing screen, if I press, if you've got a mouse that has a wheel on it, which are really nice, I recommend you get one of those that has a wheel on it. The wheel will be in between your left and right buttons. But I can take that wheel and just go back and forth. I can also smash it down and pan. Now, all those things that I'm doing right now is over here on the right-hand side. If you see this, right here's your pan button. You just have to click on it. If you don't have the little wheel, it'll pan it. Then you got all kinds of little options here about zoom. Zoom all, and all those good things. But I'm so used to using that wheel, and I recommend when you get working, it saves time, and it doesn't, and you get away from having to come over here and click every time you do something. All right. Now on this thing, this is 2D, two-dimensional, where we got an X and a Y, and we want to add a Z. Now, to add a Z puts this thing in three-dimensional space. You have X, Y, and Z. That's why you got three-dimensional drawing. It's because you got three dimensions at that point. Well, we just have two right now. To get to the third dimension, you come up here and you see this finished sketch. Y'all see that? Click it. And when you do that, you notice how it kind of turned around in an isometric look. Well, over here is your view cube. You can grab it and you can move it around. If you want to look at it straight on forward, just come up here and click the face of it. See how it's kind of highlighted? Just press it, just a regular left cursor click. You click there, click to the right hand side, you just can't see it. You're seeing an edge view at that point. Keep on turning it around. I'm just smashing with my left button, and I can twist this thing and holding it down. Twist it. Now, what I want to do, I want to put this in an isometric form, and I want to add my 3D depth. And the button I use is called extrude. Click on it. Now, it automatically picked it up. You see that 2D sketch we made? See how it's trying to add that solid to it? Well, make sure whenever you draw this 2D sketch in that you have no open loops. If you got an open loop, it won't do this. It'll tell you something's wrong. So make sure that is a closed loop. And you come over here and you got distance to between. Well, this one we're just doing distance. And it needs to be to be 2.5. Okay? So we're going to make this 2.5, and it'll automatically update as you punch it in. There's 2.5, and we've got that. Now, if you'll look at something else, you got these little tools. It's the same things in this box. You can flip the model to either side. You can do it symmetrically. It just depends on what you're working on and what you're doing. And I just hit OK. And now it is a solid. You can take now, rotate it around, and just take a look at it. That is a three-dimensional solid piece. Okay? Now, I am going to add another part to this. And if you look at your book, there is a part that comes up and over. And what I want to do is I want to make a new sketch on this plane right here. To do so, I click on it. I can either click on it and right click and go to new sketch, or I can come over here and start 2D sketch, and click on the face. Either way you want to do it. And I come over here to my view cube, and I want to turn it around so I can see it. I want to show you something. You see how it puts that grid right on the main top of that? You're on that plane when you're going to start drawing. So turn it to the top. And on this, basically I want to hit line. I'll start right there. And I want to bring this thing back 2.5. Now I can type that in like a direct line method, get that line moving that way. 2.5. And I can go a little further, it doesn't matter. Bring this one over, back in, back over, and then I'll close it up. Okay, and I right click and just hit OK on that. Well, that's 2.5. This is accurate. I'm going to move that up and get it out of the way. Now, dimension, the next one is going to be 2.5. I click on this to this, 2.5, enter. And you see how that messed that up? So let's undo that just a second. And what I need to do is set this between here and here, this dimension. And that dimension is 0.75 is 3/4. This here, let's go ahead and get that done. This is 3/4 as well. And then we'll go ahead and see where I got that dimension. All you have to do is double click it. Or actually just single click it and brings it up. 2.5. And there is an enclosed sketch. You got your 2D sketch done. All you have to do now is come back up here to finish sketch, and then we go into feature mode. And in feature mode, just come back over to extrude. And now you see that it's coming up in there. Now in extrude, I want to show you something else. You got 3 different commands. You got join, cut, and intersect, and I'll show you more about that. But you're joining. Whenever you're making a solid piece, you're joining. And if you want this to go back down the other way, you just have to flip your directions, and it goes that way. And of course, this thing is a depth of 2.5, which is already set there, and that's perfect. Okay on that, and see how it automatically makes it one piece. If you'll notice something too, as we're drawing this up, check this out. You're making a history as you draw. There was your extrusion 1. You remember that's the first thing we did, and then we just added the extrusion 2. And this right here will make more sense a little later when we start editing. This right here is where you can edit. And this really what sets this software apart, parametric softwares apart from other programs, because you can go back and it's easy to edit. The next thing on this drawing is going to be putting a hole right here on this plane going all the way through. And the best way to do that is click on it, or come over 2D sketch, click on the face. And I'm going to come up here this time, and we're going to do, and there's all kinds of circles. You can do tangent, ellipse, or circle. We're just going to use a circle. And I want to come in here, and I'm just going to just put that in there. It's 0.75. And there's that circle in there. Then I'm just going to dimension it. And the dimension on this thing is 1.25. And the next one is 0.75. So we have that exactly where they want it at. And that's all of my 2D sketch. And I like to turn it just a little bit so I can see. Hit finish sketch. We're ready to go into 3D mode, which is the feature mode. Hit extrude and do a cut. This joint. Now, if I were to click on this, now profile, click on it, and you got to pick your profile. If I do join, it'll want to shoot that up, just like that. If I want to do cut, click on that. See how it's going to cut through that. And it'll ask you distance. If you want to put a direct distance, I got 2.5 in there, or if you just want to hit all, it'll just shoot through anything that's in front of it. So hit OK on that, and there's that hole through it. Now the next and final piece to this puzzle is to put a chamfer on this edge here. Just on this one corner right here, it needs a chamfer. Now there's different ways I could do this, but for this class I'm just going to go in there and I want to put a sketch on this. Again, hit 2D sketch, click on the face of it, line, and let's get some dimensions for this thing. It's going to come over 1 inch this way, so type in 1, and it's going to come down at a 45-degree clip. So it doesn't matter. I'm just going to put it something like that. Dimension, I hit this dimension, click on this line to this line, and then type in 45. Now you come here, hit line, you click from there down to that point. It'll actually catch, just still snap to it. And then you can come up here into a tool that we haven't used yet, but there's a trim command. You see a trim, click on it, and just touch it, and he'll get rid of what you don't need. And you can see this is actually closed loop now. Hit finish sketch, because we're ready to go into feature mode. Hit extrude, and again, it picked up that profile, but it's wanting to join again. You see that? You want to cut. Well, 2.5 is cutting back. It probably would work, but I'm just going to put in 0.75 because that's as far as it was. And cut. Hit OK. And there is that part in an isometric shape. Now, what I want to do after we get it drawn is I want to show you how to save this thing. The best thing to do is, if this is just a single part, no big deal. Alright, but if you're going to save like a whole assembly that goes together, this is what I do. I come up here and do save, and I'll find me a spot. I'm just going to put this on my desktop, and I would just right click when you get in here, new, and go to folder. And this is for you guys. I would do week 1, chapter 2, and I'd open that up and I would call this tutorial, and then save. And the reason I want you to make folders for each week or each project that you do is because it really helps down the line when we start assembling these things, and whenever you start adding motion and movement to some of these projects. So it's very, very important.